Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Robyn Mills from Humanity's Heart. And I hope today that we engage, expand, and energize your heart in some way. And I'm joined today by Sandra. Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning, Robyn.
She tells me that she's 75 and she feels more vital than she did in her 50s. That's what I can see, that vitality. And why is this so? Because she started loving herself and letting go of what she thought love was, which made her push herself in order to get love or be loved. A series of painful heart palpitations made her look closely at what was going on in her heart and explore what love is and what love is not. Sandra, I'd really like to benefit from your wealth of knowledge and experience about love. Tell me how that happened for you.
I think the first experience was when my father died. And he died very suddenly, very young, unexpectedly. And I actually had a premonition about it. I saw him, and as he was leaving, I just knew I wouldn't see him again. But the thing about his dying was that I didn't feel like he died. I felt like he died into my heart, and I felt so much love and expansiveness in my heart. I could not believe that the joy that I felt, because actually it didn't feel like he had gone. It felt like he just, his essence was like all around me. And it was so beautiful. Of course, later, the body has to catch up. It lets go of attachment. So, I would be listening for him to come home. And then I'd realize, oh, and of course he's dead. He's not going to come home. And then my body might cry, or I'd be in the supermarket and suddenly I'd cry. But what that was my body dissolving any attachment to that physical form. So what I realized was that the heart, the love that we feel, is something that is beyond the physical, really. It's something that's very it's I don't know, it's not personal even, and it's not something that's mine. Like, okay, he was my dad and I loved him, but I actually felt more loved when he died, because I could feel it was an unconditional love. There was no, I didn't have to be a good girl or do the right thing or, get the best marks at school. I could just be me, and I felt loved.
What an incredible experience to be able to embody the love of your father after he passed. I haven't ever heard anyone say that before. An incredibly overwhelming experience and knowledge that you carry him with you.
Yeah, and the word you used, embody, is the key word, because actually it is in the body. And even though it feels like we have to be in our body to feel love, put it that way. If we think about it, like, how parents will go out and say, love you, and it's just a word, but if the child feels in their body, they won't feel loved, because it's just a word. But if the parent connects with their love in their body for themselves and the child, and the connection they have with the child, then the child will feel a vibration in their body, and they'll go, oh, yeah, I can feel that love in my heart, and my whole body, actually. But then the other experience that happened to me was I had two children, and we were living in a very, very difficult place, and I left with the two children. I left my husband, and then eventually he remarried, and they both came and said, well, could we have the kids, because you've had them all this time, and we'd really love to look after them. And because they were really good parents and they valued kids, I looked at it and I eventually said yes. The only trouble was that they were going to America, and so they took the kids to America. And at first I was so devastated, I just cut off, and then I realized I was actually cutting my heart off, like I was just completely shut down and I wasn't enjoying my life. And then I remember one day I started crying, and then through the tears I started to connect with my love for my children. And I thought, wow, it's actually in me. It's still there. They haven't gone, in a sense. I can reconnect, And so that's what I realized, that anytime, like the form was not there, the actual physical children weren't there for me to hug. But if I was to feel my heart and feel into my body, then they weren't missing, And so I started reconnecting with them, and I taught them this. And I said, look, don't miss me. Just, can you feel me? Can you feel your love of me in your heart and in your whole body? And that way we reconnected. And so to this day, I find, like now with the COVID thing, I can't see them, but we have weekly Zoom meetings, and it's really beautiful, the connection we have. So it's something to treasure. And the other thing I learned was they're really not my children, like mine, I'm caretaker for them when I'm with them, when I am, but they're actually to trust that other people will care and look after them as well, and which in fact they did. And when I look back, I think possibly it was best that they went with their other parents, because I was a little bit I was a bit of a hippie, and bit of I think he was more responsible and certainly did a great job bringing them up. So
that I just can't even imagine how the heart would feel to make a decision like that.
Yes,
that is
I'll
enormous.
tell you how it felt: ripped open and cut and shattered and completely. But actually that was only my attachment that was that. It wasn't the love.
Yes,
because love never dies, and that's what I learned. The love never dies; it never goes away.
that is
Always
so
there.
that is really beautiful. Love never dies.
Yes,
It's the thing that goes on, isn't it? It's the thing
absolutely.
that can grow and get bigger and create our sense of belonging, not only to our children and grandchildren, but to the world, our sense of belonging, because love is that vibration in the heart that we all have, no matter what color our skin, what religion we are, whether we're tall or short or young or old.
Yeah.
Love's a vibration that continues. I love that idea, Sandra.
So when I hear you speak like that, I can feel my heart expand.
Yeah.
Because it's vibrating with the resonance of what you're saying, because the heart loves to hear about love and joy and harmony,
Yeah.
That's its natural language.
I love the fact that when a baby is in utero, only within the first couple of weeks of life, a cell breaks off and it starts vibrating. And then it replicates itself and continues to vibrate until eventually it forms a heart. So it starts to vibrate even before the organ itself has even begun to develop. Just that one little cell goes, I'm going to be the heart. And I love that. I love the fact that and I feel that when we walk into a room and when we leave a room, we all know when you walk into a room and there's trouble, you can feel trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we can also feel love when you walk into a room and the room gives you a hug. It's like the people in it or the people who have just been in it have shared love, have been loving, vibrating people, and we're all capable of that. So I wonder what sort of heart print people leave in a room when they, or the world as they go through it.
Absolutely. And that's so true, because and actually we're all energetic beings, and our energy, you can feel it, as you say, if someone's been angry, you can, when you walk in the room, like I used to feel when my husband came from work, before I opened the door, I'd know exactly what to expect, like he was overtired or frustrated or whatever, you'd feel it. You could feel that it's like his energy was preceding him in a wave.
And Sandra, what I read about you is that you've now taken on other people's children and grandchildren as your own, and even though they're not blood, they're just as strong for you.
Yeah, for example, I have a friend who's a grandma, and she lives with her daughter and her daughter's daughter, and the little girl has to be taken to school, but neither of them can do it a couple of days a week, so I do it for them, and she comes here and spends an hour with me, and we just do what we do, and we have fun, and then I take it to school, and then I have other kids who come, and I show them how to garden, and I teach them how to grow plants and how to prune them and all of that sort of thing, and I pay them a little bit pocket money, and then I babysit a few of the new babies around here.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I just treat them all as my children, and I had a family staying here as well in my house for a while, and I just if they're not doing, if they're not being harmonious in the house, well, I'll let them know, lovingly but firmly, and on the other hand, I'll acknowledge them for what they're doing that's beautiful and harmonious and in tune with the household, in harmony with everything. And so I have quite a bit of interaction with children. I used to teach natural dance to children, and the idea of that was to help them retain their natural movement. Like if they go and learn ballet, they're learning that they're being imposed on their body a different kind of movement, and I've experienced that sometimes it can be quite harmful for the body, whereas the natural dance or movement is very much the way they would express naturally, just helping them to explore that and expand with it.
That's really innovative, isn't it, to help children be able to be free in their bodies and to understand how their bodies want to move. Really helps them love their bodies and be present.
Absolutely,
with their bodies.
It does.
And of course, because, go on.
No, I was going to say there's so much around us that actually imposes on us, and it makes our heart contract, because like even just I took Holly this girl to school, this little girl, her first day at school. I was walking there and I was holding her. She said, "Could I hold your hand?" So I held her hand, and then I could feel her slowing down, and her hand got a bit tight. And I said, "How are you feeling?" She said, "Sad." And I said, why are you sad? She said, "Oh, I want my mummy," And I said, "Well, mummy will pick you up after school, but now you have to learn to, transition into going to school and all of that." So I talked to her and she started to relax a bit. But it took me right back to my first day at school, and I could feel all those feelings coming up that are still in the body, and a lot of those feelings or experiences we've gone through are still in our bodies, and we can relate to them very easily. But what I'm getting at really is the imposition of school, and how you you have to do things according to a certain rules and regulations. And sure, there's a need for rules and regulations, but often they're not very conducive to an expansive heart for a start, or to living and functioning in the real world.
It's
I mean,
so
if we were
true.
taught at school things like how to get on with other kids rather than how to do logarithms. I mean, maybe we need to do that too, but but there's so much we could be teaching the children at school that's to be better human beings and to evolve into an amazing person who's going to contribute beautifully to the world, rather than put up with abuse and all of that sort of thing.
Yes, to teach children about compassion and understanding and sharing, and that there's enough for everyone. That
That's right.
you don't have to fight to get that one thing, because you can have it in 5 minutes or 2 minutes, or it's that having had a twin brother, I know the competition. And I don't actually remember my first day at school, funnily enough. When you said that, my brain tried to scan back to the first day at school, but I remember incidents at school, certainly that where my heart was wounded, but I don't remember my first day. So, but I do remember even back to kinder. So I remember younger than that. I can remember that we were all going around in a circle playing instruments, and all of us wanted the triangle. I can actually remember really wanting that triangle. It was like the most important thing. And they used to sleep us in potato sacks in Hessian bags. I remember putting those big potato Hessian bags, like, I don't know, 40 kilos, and that's what we used to crawl in to sleep. It was awful, just awful, itchy. It's so, the memory of the touch and the feel is there, and the memory of what you want. The body is amazing that, I'm in my late 60s, but I can remember that. It's amazing. And the heart, the heart remembers those experiences of the things that expand or contract. I liked it when you said contract, because that's what it feels like. The heart's opening, the heart's closing in protection. And I think having grandchildren opens the heart. It brings in that unconditional love like no other. I still can feel the essence of you saying that your dad is within you. I mean, that unconditional love poured into the heart just opens it exponentially, doesn't it? It changes everything.
It does, yes.
I'm wondering, Sandra, if you look back over your life, how would your heart say you've lived your life?
The first word that comes to me is joy, joyously. Because I remember, as a young girl, I was exceedingly joyous and vivacious and full of life, But then the imposition came in, the competition, and all these things layered on top of it. And it's now, I think this is why I'm feeling more alive than I ever, than in my 50s, because up to my 50s, it was like all of this was heavy, you get boxed in by what you think you should do, the person you think you should be, and all of that. And now I'm just going, well, why should I? Who's telling me? And so I go, well, okay. All I need to do is look and see, well, how do I want to contribute to this world so it's harmonious and not harming anybody? And how can I be loving to myself? And I realized that, like I was brought up in a very good family, in that there was no obvious abuse, and it was, my parents were very easy to talk to about anything. They loved each other, but there were subtle things that I realized now when I look back, like the pressure to it was a sort of a very subtle pressure to get good marks at school, and it was sort of so you could get a good job and we wouldn't have to worry about you, sort of thing,
Yes.
But that I took that on and made that such a pressure. And I got top marks here and there, but then you'd try and beat your own marks. And my poor sister coming up in my shoes, it made it life hell for her, because the teacher said, oh, you're the sister of that girl, blah, blah, blah. And she'd have to live up to it, or feel she had to. And then she decided that she was never going to be good enough, so she didn't try. And, so all this stuff that gets layered onto us. So now what I'm endeavouring to do is to just take it off, shed it all, and come back to who I truly am, which is basically who I was when I was born, Just one big loving heart,
Isn't that wonderful? You are who you were born to be.
Yes.
And all the constraints and issues that either are there or our brains put there because we perceive the environment to be a certain way. And yet in the end, we just come back to being, we're enough. We're more than enough.
Absolutely.
I love that.
So important. Yeah. We are all enough.
Yes.
Even if we're in the gutter, or even if we're poorest of poor, we are enough,
Yes, we are enough. Absolutely. I think that's a huge message that's important to get out to people. And of course, I can see the people who are a lot younger than me that are around me struggling with, things people say to them or people don't say to them, when your brain gets hooked into something and you need to unhook it. And, it's because I'm not in that scene anymore that I can be free. And so now if someone said something about me to me, I just go, I'm in charge of me. I'm in charge of who I am. I'm in charge of how I think, what I do, what I say. And
beautiful.
And then I'd be thinking, I wonder what that person needs to heal. That's what I'd be thinking, that I'd want them to have a shift so that they could have a peaceful and loving and happy life, because we all deserve that.
Absolutely. I try not to use the word think, because what it feels to me is what you're saying is that your heart knows what's needed. It's almost like the brain's in the heart.
Yes. Yes.
And in fact, it knows what is needed. Whereas sometimes we think we know, yes. But in actual fact, we don't always, unless we feel into it with our heart and go, oh, yeah, that's what's going on. Energetically, we can feel it.
And I'm lucky enough to be interviewing people who have a lot of different experiences to me and a lot more up to date with modern theories and techniques. And one of the people that I interviewed did something called MBIT, where they talk about the brain, the heart and the gut, all of different intelligences, and getting them all connected so that when you are speaking, you're speaking from the heart, and that all three are aligned. Just things that I would never have really known. So what's wonderful about these interviews is that I'm expanding my own wisdom and knowledge from other people. I love that.
That's gorgeous. Yeah, and that's lovely that you're humble enough to do that, because if we come from the place of not knowing, then we can learn heaps from others.
Who shaped your life the most, do you think? The word think, sorry. Who do you
no, that's all right.
What would your heart say about who has helped shape your life?
Yes. Okay. Well, my dad, I think, was of a big influence to start with. He was, well, he would have called himself a humanitarian, I think, but he had an amazing view of humanity, in that, for instance, he was trying to set up in Sydney. He did actually set up a system where he had the pensioners and the students and the workers all working together. So, for example, he'd have the students taking the pensioners out to shop, and he'd have the single mums, the students helping the single mums with kids, and then he'd have the workers, sort of, if they were unable to support, maybe contributing a little bit financially. And it was all a beautiful system, because I think he went to Indonesia and saw the extended family system. And he thought, well, why are we all locked in our little boxes here? And,
Yes.
you know, why can't we help each other? So he had that all set up, and he got government funding and everything. Then the government changed and pulled the plug on it. And that, funnily enough, that's when he died. It was like he felt betrayed, because his whole life's work was ripped out from underneath. but he used to always make us think about other people and the effect that we're having on the environment. Never leaving light, always turning the lights off, and you know, not running the water too long, and but it's always from the perspective of, look, you know, look at this is for all of us, you know, and we must.
Oh, that's incredible. What a beautiful underpinning for you to come through life with that beautiful base of compassion for other people. No wonder you became a hippie, because in that world, they upheld the beliefs that your father upheld, even though when, you know, the hippie has a label, it was about people wanting to be communal and compassionate and work together, really, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Underlying it was, but it's kind of got bastardized.
It wasn't really like that. It was like people loving each other. It was like a love fest, really.
Yes, that's right. We were trying to. Well, I lived in a community a commune for a while.
Yeah.
And it was good in that we helped build each other's houses. We had a community garden and all of that. But psychologically, people weren't really caring for each other, you know, in the truest sense of the word. Their hearts weren't sort of in the right place. So I ended up leaving, because it was just not what I was really looking for. I was looking for brotherhood.
Yes. Yes, and now you've found brotherhood in your community.
Absolutely, yes.
As we come to, go on.
The person who's most influenced me is a man with tremendous wisdom, and his name is Serge Ben Hayen. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's very humble, very beautiful.
Could you say the name again, because I think I missed.
His name is Serge Ben Hayen.
Yes, no, I haven't.
Yeah, but he's written a lot of books, but he has really helped thousands of people to change their life around. Like, there's been people who've been alcoholics and drug addicts and all of that, and they've just simply started to find themselves and find the beauty within, and feel their hearts. And he's had an amazing effect. And he doesn't impose anything on people, and he's been showing us how much imposition we are feeling from the world around us. How, you know, things like competition, we talk about it being healthy, but actually how it's very insidious and causes us to, you know, fight with our fellow men. Comparison between women, like that's something which we're endeavouring to knock out. And it's something, if you realise that, I mean, it's just everywhere in our society comparison. And so as women, we endeavour to, we're not perfect, and we still find it influencing us, but to see it's something that's influencing us, it's not something we are, like we're not less or better.
Yes.
We're being fed those kind of thoughts that we could be, or that we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sandra, the interview is coming to an end. So I'd like to ask you if there's something that you really wanted to say that I haven't asked you.
I feel we've covered pretty much everything, I think.
Great. That's great. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I'd say it's complete, feels complete.
That's excellent. And so what I've learned today, I think I've been particularly touched by your heart being filled with the unconditional love of the essence of your father, and you being able to carry him through your later life. That's really warmed and engaged and expanded my heart today. But the fact that you can have children who aren't blood related, who are just as important to you and to the vibration of your heart, and that you get to teach some of the next generation about unconditional love and fairness and equality and compassion in the world. Thank you for being the beautiful person that you are and inspiring us today.
Thank you, Robyn, for the opportunity to speak. Yeah.
Pleasure. So my name is Dr. Robyn Mills from Humanity's Heart. I hope that we engaged, expanded, or energized your heart today in some way. And until we meet again, may your heart beat to the rhythm of Humanity's Heart.